Ladies and gentlemen, friends and rivals, welcome to the Two Top Table. Here at the Game Table Podcast, we take a look at various board, card, and other tabletop games. We give an overview, provide a little insight on how to play, and share some of our thoughts, all in an attempt to give you an idea of how well it would fit for you and your table. We have a couple of guest hosts today, my very long-standing friends, Josh and Kelli Taylor. They will be looking at Lord of the Rings, Duel for Middle-earth. Designed by Antoine Bauza and Bruno Cathala, artwork created by Vincent Dutrait, and published by Repos Productions. Lord of the Rings, Duel for Middle-earth is a two-player card drafting game where one player takes on the role of the Fellowship and pits themselves against the other player taking on the role of Sauron. The two players will battle it out over 3 chapters as they rewrite one of the greatest trilogies of all time. Will evil be vanquished once more, or will darkness overtake this game? Find out as Josh and Kelli discuss.
Okay, Kelli, what is your favorite Lord of the Rings movie?
Well, I haven't watched them in a really long time. You watched them recently, and so you were kind of reminding me what was in which movie, but otherwise they kind of all run together. I remember in high school we would have like marathon movie days. In my memory, they're all just one long movie. But yeah. I think it was Two Towers.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell you what happens in Two Towers.
Yeah. That was how I felt too, rewatching all of them back to back to back.
I remember when you were watching them recently, you said that you didn't like Two Towers, like you weren't looking forward to watching it. And I remember thinking like, I think I liked Two Towers, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, I remember that being the one I liked the least, I thought, when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I was super surprised how much I loved it now.
Do you think that it's changed because you're grown up now, or because you just didn't remember what was in it and you were wrong about not liking it?
Both.
Oh, okay.
I think both. And then watching Return of the King, that was the one I have seen the least.
Oh.
Because I was just the oldest when it came out, and I guess I would have been about to start college and had other stuff going on, I guess. Whereas with Fellowship of the Ring, it came out when I was starting high school, if I'm remembering correctly. And I just watched it 1,000 times, and it was my favorite movie. And Return of the King is so good, especially if you watch all 3 extended editions. I don't even know what you would take out of Return of the King. Like, it needs to be that long. It was so good. I cried like a baby at the end of Return of the King. Aww. It was so good.
I need to do a rewatch now that I'm grown up and a parent and everything. Because I've noticed watching movies that I saw a long time ago as a parent, almost always, no matter what the movie's about, almost always like adds a layer to it that was never there before.
Yeah.
So, and I would like to do that. I was obsessed with those movies when I was in high school, though. Like, I had posters. I like devoured any kind of media I could get my hands on, like interviews. We watched my brothers and I would watch the movies a lot, but we would also watch the DVD extras like all the time.
Yeah.
So it
all
was
the behind the scenes stuff. Yeah. I can't wait till how old? When can we? I mean, how old were we when those movies came out? I was like 13.
I don't know. When did it come out?
2001, I think.
Well, I didn't watch. I think I...
Oh, did you see them later?
Saw them in time for the third to be in... No.
Okay.
I don't know. I was going to say I was like maybe 14 or 15.
Okay.
But that seems late if you were 13 when the first came out.
And you're a little younger than me too.
Yeah. I could be wrong.
I back in those days, Lord of the Rings wasn't... I mean, it was a household name, but like not the way that like Star Wars is... You know what I mean? Yeah. Like everybody knows what Lord of the Rings is now, but it wasn't quite that way back then. That was like, oh, that book series. Didn't they make a movie of it sometime? Like it was like an old cartoon or something.
Yeah.
But if you had a buddy who was like really into fantasy stuff, like I did, then you
knew all about it.
You knew all about it without really
without having read it.
Your will.
Yeah.
But I was like, all right, we'll go see it. And then it was just like such a good movie. I was like, I can't believe I love this 3-hour fantasy movie. And now everybody just likes it just passively. You know what I mean? It's just funny. But yeah, it was. So how old? How old until when can we show the kids?
Oh.
6, 7?
No, that's too young. I really don't know. I feel like you need to be at least a teenager. I don't think it's a little gory.
It's a hard PG-13.
It's also like the themes of it are going to go over your head, which I guess that's true anyway.
You can't follow all of it
right
until you're an adult. There's a lot going on. It is heavy.
Yeah. I think probably in their teens. By that time, I wonder if in 10 years our kids will even want to watch that, or if it'll look so old.
It holds up. It be like, looks better.
It'll be like my parents trying to get me to watch like Fiddler on the Roof or something.
Man.
Or like the really old James Bonds. That's probably a better example because it was like all the action and the way they spoke and everything seemed so hokey to me. But my dad like had this nostalgia for it. I wonder if it'll be like that.
There are some effects that have not aged well. Granted.
Sure.
But a lot of the stuff, it just came out at this perfect time where a lot of stuff was still done
practically.
Yeah. But they were also experimenting with the digital stuff. Now it's just this is all easier with a computer. So
my feeling is that it will hold up, but I don't know.
It does. I was amazed. Some of the effects I was like, whoa, how did they do this 25 years ago? But some of it you're like, oh, they almost got away with that.
Well,
some of the Gollum stuff is a little funky now.
They were inventing that stuff as they went, though. Yeah. So with that in mind, it's actually, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So.
Anyways, you want to talk about a board game?
Sure.
All right. We're going to talk about Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth, and I'm going to tell you how it's played. You ready for this, Kelly?
Yep.
In Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth, 2 players compete against each other for the fate of Middle Earth. One player embodies the Fellowship of the Ring, tasked with destroying the One Ring, and the other player is Sauron, attempting to catch the hobbits and rule over the free peoples. On your turn, you complete one of 2 actions. The first action is taking a card from the display. You can take any card from the tableau that is not covered or partially covered by other cards. Once you have the card, you can pay its cost to add it to your play area, or you can discard it to gain a number of coins correspondent to the current chapter, 1, 2, or 3. The other action is to take an available landmark tile from the landmark display. These tiles have a cost associated with each one and also gain you impressive rewards. All of the cards and tiles in the game enable you to complete various actions that will help you in your quest to destroy the ring or rule Middle-earth, whichever is the one that you're more interested in doing. For example, blue cards will move Frodo and Sam closer to Mount Doom if played by the Fellowship, or they'll move the Nazgul closer to capturing the hobbits if played by Sauron. Green cards earn you the favor of the various races of Middle-earth, which gain you special abilities in the game. And then as for tiles, they can earn you special abilities too, and they also gain you presence on the map of Middle-earth, which will be important when we talk about victory conditions in just a moment. The 2 players go back and forth, taking cards or tiles from the display until all the available cards are gone, at which point the game resets and a new chapter begins, and the game ends at the conclusion of Chapter 3. There are 3 ways to win the game. First up is Quest of the Ring. The Fellowship wins by advancing Frodo and Sam to Mount Doom, and Sauron wins if the Nazgul catches the hobbits. The second victory condition is Support of the Races. If either player gains 6 different race symbols on their green cards, they immediately win the game because they have rallied the support of the races of Middle-earth. Finally, you can conquer Middle-earth. The game includes a map with 7 regions of Middle-earth. If your side has presence in all 7 regions at any point during the game, you immediately win. But if at the end of Chapter 3, none of these victory conditions have been met by either player, the player who is present in the most regions of Middle-earth wins, and in case of a tie there, you just share the victory. So that's how you play Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth. Kelly, do you have any recollection of playing Seven Wonders Duel several years ago?
No.
Okay. I don't super remember it either, but what I do remember is that we for a brief period of time, we played it a lot because we really liked it. In the same way
I believe you. I still don't remember it.
Fair enough. It was I think it was before we had kids.
Okay,
it's been that long
I've
at
slept
least.
Short periods of time since then, and I don't remember it.
I kept it around because I remembered we liked it so much and it was an easy to play 2-player game. But then when I heard, I've been trying to be good about keeping my collection to a reasonable, non-embarrassing
You're doing great.
amount of games. Thank you. I am trying. And so, if something comes in, I try to take something out.
Mm-hmm.
And when I heard that the original creators of Seven Wonders Duel were making a Lord of the Rings version, I decided to trust that it wasn't a cheap cash grab, and I just immediately sold Seven Wonders Duel and pre-ordered the new one. And I think I made the right call. I agree with all the people saying this is better than the original. But with that said, like you, I don't super remember all the details of it.
I was going to ask, do you know what is different about it?
I remember the main thing about it that I remember, because obviously like the pyramid of cards that you choose from, that's all the same. Where you can see one row, the next row is face down.
That's the part that I kind of remember.
Yeah. And, having the different colors of cards, doing the different things, it's all very Seven Wonders. The main thing I remember being different is that the military track was a tug of war.
Oh,
so if you got, I think you got
of the race chasing.
No, that's the thing. The military track now is basically the map.
Oh, okay.
There's no map in Seven Wonders Duel. The Conquer Middle Earth is an invention of this game.
Right. But that's why I would say that the chasing element would be
that's kind of its own thing too.
To it.
Yeah, I'm
Instead
not sure.
of it's like the map is completely new. It's just that it was themed military on the old one. And now it's themed being chased.
Yes. But they're still military. So it's like they took the idea of the track, kept it, but then also made military something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really like that because you still get that kind of like that tug of war sort of chase thing. But it's a little bit different because it's not like, oh, no, you went this way, so I'm going to pull back this way. Because every time you make a movement, you don't gain that movement back.
Right.
In the same way, because if you're interested in this game, maybe you've already seen this track, but I'll try my best to describe it. It's a cardboard piece that the hobbits sit on, and then the Nazgul is on a clear plastic piece that sits on top of the cardboard piece.
It overlays the cardboard piece.
Yeah, so when you move the Nazgul, you just move this entire plastic clear piece over.
No.
Is that
when you
wrong?
move the hobbits, you move the entire clear plastic piece over, and the Nazgul moves along the plastic.
There are two clear plastic
and so
pieces.
every time you move the hobbits, the Nazgul moves along with it, so they stay the same amount behind you. You're just trying to get to the end before they reach you.
The hobbits never get further away from the Nazgul. The Nazgul only ever moves closer.
Yes.
So the Hobbit's goal is to just get to Mount Doom before the Nazgul catches up.
Yes.
And so you have that track, the race track, basically. And then you have the military board where there are 7 regions, and you're just trying to make sure that you have presence in as many regions as possible. Mm-hmm. Or at least to make sure that the other player doesn't have presence in every region.
Doesn't get out of control.
That feels more defensive. It's just like, I'm just trying to make sure you don't win here.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to win here. I'm just making sure you don't win here. Yeah.
It's pretty balanced too, because a few games I've been like, I'm going to focus on that and try to win. But it's too difficult because it can turn over in a second.
Yeah.
So it really is, I think, better as a defense mechanism. If you stop paying attention, then they could easily win. But it's hard to win if the other person is paying attention.
I don't think we've had a game that ended that way. We had a game that ended and nobody had completed a condition, and then you won the game because you had more presence.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So that's another reason you got to keep up with it, because that is the end game win condition if no other conditions have been met. Just who has the most presence.
Right.
And one thing I really like that's cool about it is that you have the towers and then you have the units.
Yes.
The towers can't be removed except for with a special ability. The units are meant to go battle, basically. So if they get moved into a region that has an enemy unit, they both are just dead. But if you were to move 2 units into a unit that had one enemy unit, then one of yours would die, theirs dies, and then your unit stays. So it's a very simple battle mechanism. There's no dice or anything like that.
sorry, I interrupted us. We were talking about what was different from the original. Did we finish talking about that?
That's about it.
Just that there was a map added, and instead of tug of war, it's a following.
Yeah, and then
race.
there's other little small things, but I think those are the main differences.
Were there an equivalent to the races?
Yes, those are progress tokens.
Okay.
in Seven Wonders Duel.
Okay.
So those are
I don't remember
somewhat
that at
similar.
all.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's that same kind of thing where each one of those abilities is almost they're not like a game breaking ability, but it's like, oh, I need to get one of those too, quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the game we just played, I could not get my feet under me.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of them, and that I just could not keep up after that.
The thing I really like about this game is that you can kind of play it knowing and trusting that it's very well balanced. So if you get a token and you think, oh, that doesn't sound too good. Like an example, the last game we played, one of the tokens I pulled was that after I buy a landmark tile, I get to just immediately take another turn.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, I am inclined to not take this, but I'm going to try it just because it's here for a reason.
That's what won you
and
the
then
game.
It won me the game. Yeah. And it won me my first game.
You got like 4 or 5 turns in a row.
Yeah, just
one time
buying landmark tiles.
And then you won the game at the end by getting to a couple or 2 or 3.
Yeah. Well, what happened was I just started buying the landmark tiles because I had enough coins to do it. That freaked you out because now all of a sudden for every landmark tile you get a tower. That's how you get towers on the map for each region. So I was just accumulating towers that are very hard to get rid of, gaining presence on the board. And so all of a sudden you're having to play defensively on the board. Meanwhile, all I need to now do is get a little bit quest for the ring going, move my Nazgul a little bit further towards the hobbits, and that's how I ultimately ended up winning the game because you had to spend turns fighting back, or that was gonna. I think
you could have easily won in like 1 or 2.
Yeah,
you could have won in 1 turn if you had bought the landmark card where you could move things.
Yeah.
So I like had to start clearing you off. Anyway.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into the weeds about a game you guys haven't even weren't there for.
Well,
so.
I tried to explain as much as I could in the how-to, but there are a lot of little smaller things that I'm realizing as we're talking about it, like, oh, and then there's this, and then there's this.
Yeah.
But overall, how many times have we played now? 5-ish times? I know that was the first time I won.
5 or 6. Yeah, that was the first time. Congratulations.
Thank you. A well-earned victory. The reason I say that is because I think that every game we played, we would finish and I'd say, okay, now I'm going to beat her the next time. And then I would try whatever strategy you tried, but then you had some way of defending against that. Mm-hmm. There was every game we played, there was something different happened.
Yeah.
That determined the outcome of the game. And I thought, man, this is so well balanced.
It's just the ways the cards and the abilities interact makes it feel different every time.
And it's cool too because you have the different chapters and there are cards specific to each chapter of the game. In the first chapter, you're a lot of like the skills are going to come out, and the skills are what you use in chapters 2 and 3 to buy the more expensive quote unquote cards. And then there are certain race cards that don't show up until chapter 3. Period. Yeah. So you can't have that race victory. Win by until chapter 3. And it was every game has ended differently somehow, and I just it's fun.
It's very replayable. Mm-hmm. I also really like that it is, even though there's a lot of pieces, it's easy to set up.
Yeah. Because
the setup is easy and because we can play it relatively quickly, it works really well for us since we have small kids. We can say, all right, let's play this while they're in bed, or during nap time we can knock out a quick game. And I think it's nice that it has those things, and it's also a great game. There have been other games where it's like, I like this game pretty well and it is quick to play, so we're going to play it even though it's not my favorite.
Right.
But 100%. It checks like all the boxes.
The box that it comes in is nice too. Like it's a small little box.
Mm-hmm. It's not huge.
It keeps all the components very nice and organized too. So you can get it out real quick and easy.
And I like that on the side. I don't know if this is a common thing because I don't play as many games as you.
It's becoming more common, but
on the side, like the bottom box that is covered by the top when it's at rest. But when you take the cover off, on the side it has the gameplay instructions basically, so that
How to
each
set up the cards.
round you don't have to pull something out to look at how it needs to be set up. I like that.
Yeah. It's designed with the parent in mind, I would say. It's a good game. It's a really good game. What do you think about the theming and the artwork and that sort of?
Oh, I think it's great. I like that it's not like the movie, like licensed.
Elijah Wood on the cars.
Wood. But it feels very much Lord of the Rings. It's not like too far into fantasy, or I don't know. It feels right at place for someone who knows the movie primarily, without just being like Orlando Bloom on the cover. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think it's beautiful. It's like really gorgeous artwork and the colors and everything.
It's got a lot to enjoy for fans of the book, but it also if you primarily know Lord of the Rings from the movies, the
it
vibe
passes the vibe check.
Yeah. And the artwork is really, really nice on the cards. The colors are just really, they are very vibrant. I don't know. It's just I don't know, something about the blues on the Quest for the Ring.
You like that?
I just like that.
It's
that blue
beautiful.
is just nice. I don't know. They just spend a lot of time setting it all, just getting it all just right. You can tell a lot of love went into this. I've never felt more at peace about a decision to get rid of the OG Seven Wonders Duel.
Yeah, that would have been sad if it had not paid off.
I know. And then all of a sudden I've got to buy a $20 game again because I sold it. It's great. It's overall just really good. Okay, so we've talked a lot about gameplay already. Do you have any other thoughts about the gameplay in general, or anything else you wanted to cover for gameplay?
No.
What about just overall, in terms of like games that we like to play, the fun factor?
I mean, I think it's one of the more fun games we play. It's got just the right amount of like strategy, deep thinking to it without having to really get in the weeds. If you get interrupted, you can come back to it and figure out where you were. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's important because I get interrupted playing games a lot. So, is that a good answer?
It is. It's a very good answer.
Okay.
I would say this is one of the more fun games we play. It's like games that have simple decisions, but a lot to think about. I think those are my favorite kinds of games, where it doesn't get overwhelming because there's only like, which of those 3 cards am I going to take? But there's a lot to think about.
That keeps it in the fun zone instead of the overwhelmed zone.
Yeah. Like you're not, and God bless you if you enjoy games like this. There was a time I did too. That's just not where I'm at right now. But like looking at a huge board with like, 20 different options of things you can do and decisions you can make. And it's just like, sure, this one. Mm-hmm. Oh, did that? Okay, sorry. I wish I had more time to really think this through. This game is fun because it packs a lot into a small little box.
Yes. I think it's very fun.
Replayability?
Yes, I think we've already touched on that.
Yeah.
It's definitely got a good replayability because it feels different each time.
Yeah.
And it's easy to set up. Which
is amazing because you're using all but 3 cards from each chapter.
It's not different each time because it's different cards.
It just becomes, what does she have now? What do I have now? Okay, what is she going to buy next? Where are the units on the board? Okay, how far is the Nazgul? There's just like 3 or 4 things you got to keep track of all the time, and it never feels too overwhelming. And it always feels different every time you play, but like not in like a stressful way, just like in a fun way, even though there's so much to kind of keep track of. So
agreed.
I don't know. I think this one is really special. Is there anything that you don't like about it?
I don't think so.
I feel like we should come up with something, but I can't really think of anything either. I think it's just one of those special games that we pulled out, played once, and went, oh,
this is it.
Okay, this is, because we're always looking for, like you said earlier, easy to set up, fun strategy, because we'll pull out games that we enjoy decently well. And it's just like, well, we know this one, it's quick, it's fun, it's a card game, let's do it. But this one, I think this is maybe the first game we found as adult parents that feels like, hey, you want to pull out Lord of the Rings and within 45 minutes, we've got a new story. Like, oh, and then when you took that card, I knew it was over, but blah, 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 you know. And every game has a little bit of a story. I don't know. I mean, I feel like the theme is so. I'm trying to even think of something to nitpick, and I really can't think of it. 9 out of 10. I give it a 9 out of 10. What would you give it?
That's what I was gonna say. A 9 out of 10.
Yeah, definitely our favorite game right now.
I might as well just give it a 10 out of 10 because I can't think of anything else.
Is this really one of your favorite games?
Yeah, for sure.
We really liked Seven Wonders Duel.
Okay.
I know that it's hard to remember, but we loved that game. The many times we played it over the course of that month or so before we had kids, and then we started having kids.
Well, I guess time will tell if this becomes that again, where we're just playing it a lot right now and it'll get pushed to the side, or if we'll keep returning to it. It feels like one we'll keep returning to because we've had it for 2 months now. Yeah. And we've stayed on top of it. We took it on vacation with us.
That's
Didn't get to play it.
That's how that goes.
But we liked it enough to give up the trunk space.
I'm wondering, because I remember Seven Wonders Duel had like 2 or 3 expansions that came out for it. And from what I heard, I never played those expansions, but from what I heard, they integrated some of the fixes for Seven Wonders Duel into this game, but I don't think the expansions. I know that there was always a complaint with Seven Wonders Duel that it's like, well, you know, sometimes, okay, here, this is a nitpicky complaint. Okay. But sometimes it's like, oh, shoot, hang on, let me do the math here. Okay, I'm going to go. She's going to go. I'm going to go. Okay, I get that card. Uh-huh. They kind of got rid of that by making it so that you can buy the landmark cards. Yes. But in my remembrance, you can buy landmark cards in Seven Wonders Duel as well. Maybe it was done differently. I just know I saw on BGG people saying, oh, they fixed that with the landmark tiles in this version of the game, the way that I guess there was a Seven Wonders Duel expansion that added that rule or something. But even then, you know, that's what was funny in our last game was that I actually had a race token that allowed me after getting a landmark tile to go again. Yeah, we mentioned that, I think. Yeah. But I didn't want to go again. I was buying landmark tiles because I wanted to get a card.
Yeah,
and I couldn't,
that's right.
But I couldn't find anywhere the rules that it said like the playing the token is optional. Like you have to do this. I was like, I don't want to do it. I want to be done with my turn. I want Kelli to take the card, then I will take the next one. Yeah. So I guess that is like the smallest nitpick of all time.
I said, oh, sorry, you had to go 5 times in a row and you didn't get the card you wanted.
I wanted the race card. So any other thoughts?
No, I think we've gone over it and talked too much already.
Okay, wow. So 9 out of 10 for me, 10 out of 10 for Kelli. This one is a high recommend. If you are a couple or just somebody who can find someone else to play a game and you like Lord of the Rings at all, heck, even if you don't like Lord of the Rings at all, this is really good. It plays
really well, even if it's not to the theme. Yeah, it's
really good.
I know we already talked about it, but I remember when we first brought it out, I really like the track where it's a chase instead of a tug of war. I think that's really unique, but I don't play a lot of games, so I don't know if it's that unique, but
it is unique. Yeah.
It felt really special to me when we first started playing it. So
I think when they were probably developing this game, the idea of that quest track was there. I think we've got something here.
Oh yeah.
That quest track really is what makes the theme of this game work really well, because you know when you move that Nazgul forward a little bit. Oh, they're called alliance tokens. Yes. Kelli's pointing at the instruction. They're not called race tokens. Well, it's the what is it? Support of the races.
Yeah,
but that's right. They're called alliance. They're called alliance tokens. Okay, my apologies.
I mean, that's what
the
I've been
alliance
calling them
tokens,
too.
not the race tokens.
Well, you called them race cards at some point, and I was like, that doesn't seem
like
something
called,
they would have called it in the rule book.
Oh, they're called green cards. Okay, they're called green cards.
They said we can't name these race cards. Sorry.
All right, everybody.
Tokens.
Yeah, alliance tokens. Well, thank you for listening to another episode of the Game Table Podcast. Thank you to Jared for letting us guest host an episode.
Yes, thank you.
Talk at you next time.
Bye.
Jared, I'm guessing you're going to actually outro the episode, so cut out whatever. All right, love you, buddy.
I love you too, buddy. And I love you, all you listeners out there. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this idea of having guest hosts on the episode, please give us your feedback. Or if you have feedback on the game or the discussion, we would love to hear from you for that too. Links to our socials are in the description. If you don't like socials, I get it. Check out our website at thegametablepodcast.com. Shoot us an email at thegametablepodcast@gmail.com, or find us on Board Game Geek. 5-star reviews, subscribing in your podcast player of choice, following us on socials, and joining the conversation on Discord. These heroic actions are immensely helpful in growing this podcast. Special thanks to Angie Santiago for our cover art, to Anna Snyder, who made the intro and outro music, and to Alexi Chistelin for the How to Play background music. And even more special thanks to Josh and Kelli Taylor for jumping in this week. You can find Josh and Kelli at their own YouTube channel, Blimey Cow. Please go check out their content. They have a lot of great stuff over there. Join us next week as we celebrate the Year of the Card Game put on by Bezier Games. We're going to release a new episode each day of the week. That's right, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Each day, we're going to do mini episodes with a special focus on an individual game released by Bezier Games this year. I believe they're up to 6 card games that they've released this year. We're going to look at several of those, as well as maybe 1 or 2 that was released right at the end of 2023. And we'll see what you guys think about that. But in the meantime, may your dice rolls and your card draws be blessed, and your experiences at the table be ones to remember forever.